Hey everyone, welcome to Sequence of Instructions. Thanks for joining me. This video is going to be all about objects. It's going to build on the array videos I did, so if you haven't checked those out, please pause this, go over there, watch them. It's important stuff. It'll make all this make a lot more sense. Basically what we learned in those videos was that arrays are sort of containers for a lot of different pieces of data. It stores that data in a list, a linear list, and you can access the individual pieces of data using its location in the list. So here's a quick example. I have this list of numbers. I think in the example video I used grades, indicating a list of grades, but just consider this to be some list of numbers. I separate those pieces of data using the comma, and I can access a single piece of data, again, using what we called array notation. Or sorry, bracket notation, not array notation. So this would give me the first element, 45. There it is. This would be the next one, right? All this is review. And so the big key takeaways here are it's a single data container. It's a variable that represents multiple pieces of data in one contained variable. The next takeaway is I can access the individual pieces of data using a key. And in the case of an array, the key is the position of that element in the list. So again, 2 would be 0, 1, 2, would give me 76, right? And then the last piece is the value, which is the element I'm accessing. So I have this container, I have a key, and it gives me a value, all right? Now that's important because that's going to directly translate to what we learned about objects. Objects are also containers. They also have keys, they also have values, and they represent all of this data in a single variable name, in this case object. You'll notice, unlike arrays, I declare objects using curly braces. So arrays were square brackets, objects are going to be curly braces, but everything else that follows is the same. I have keys and I have values. The big difference here is objects, their keys are not necessarily numbers. Their keys are whatever you want their keys to be. So I can have a key called name, and then I specify the value of that key using this colon, not a semicolon, a full-on colon, and then I say what the value is. All right. So again, the big difference here: arrays. This was an array. I should probably not write objects up there. This is an object. Arrays. The key is assumed for you to be the location of that value in the list. Objects, you specify the key and the value. So here we're only specifying the value. The key is implied. Here we're specifying the key and the value. So I have name. I might have age. 55. I might have a favorite color. That's not how you spell favorite. That's how you spell favorite. My favorite color is green. Okay, so I can have a key, whatever key I want. It has to be a word. I can have any key I want, and I can store any data as the value of it. So here I stored a string, a number. We'll say is male. We're going to assume his gender here. It's true. Here's a Boolean, right? I can even store an array. I can say the grades that this person got on some tests could be like this, right? And so I've declared an array as the value to the key grades in the object obj. All right, and the other way it's different, but also kind of the same, is accessing it. We set up here, we use square bracket notation, we access the element at position 2, we give it, the key is 2, the value is 76, right? Here, we put some spaces in there so it's clear. We say the variable we want, so we're going to say give me the obj object, and I want that object's name value. So here it's just called dot notation. So I have the variable object, use the variable name, I say dot notation, I'm treating this variable like an object. I want the value of its property keyed name. And here it is. Whoops, this console log is still happening. I'll stop that. Okay, let's do it again. John, there it is. And likewise, I guess, all right, well, what's the age? 55. And are they male? Is the object male? It is, right? And so the cool thing about this is with arrays, you're storing not only related data in a single list, but you're also, I said in the first videos, it's important to store the same type of data. That's the good practice, right? So you're not going to mix numbers and strings and booleans. You're going to store all numbers, and these are going to represent grades or something, right? But in objects, the data is all related, right? These all relate to a certain thing, but the actual data itself is of different types, right? So this thing's name, this probably relates to a person, and this person's name is John, and the person's age is 55, and their favorite color is green, right? And so this is all data that's related and makes sense to package it together, but it's not linear. It doesn't correspond to a list necessarily, and it's definitely not of the same type. Your name is almost always going to be a string, and your age is always going to be a number. And those are never going to be the same data type, but it is important to package them together, and that's why objects are useful. The last thing I want to talk about here is what if you try and access a key that, well, this is the second to last thing. What if you try and access a key that doesn't exist? So let's say, I don't know, sibling or something. And I run it, it's going to be undefined. So it's going to say, nope, that sibling key doesn't exist. Other languages might throw an error. I think I talked about that with arrays. If you try and access an index outside the bounds of the list, that was undefined. Other languages might throw an error. But what you can do is, in the same way that R of 2 actually gave you an access to that, the data at that position to overwrite it, right? We can overwrite data or add new data using the same dot notation and equal sign. So I can say the sibling is Michelle. All right, and now if I were to console.log what we do at sibling, let me go to this. It's going to say Michelle, whereas before it said undefined. Now it's Michelle because I've set its value, right? Likewise, I can overwrite its value. This all follows logically. Let's say it's Mike. Not Michelle, it's Mike. There it is. So Michelle prints first, then I overwrite it, it prints Mike. So this data is totally able to be manipulated, and that's important because maybe I add a new grade along the way. My grades change. I want to add another grade. I can do that by just saying obj.grades, dot push. I don't know if we learned push 56. I think we did. And that will give me another grade right under the end there. Anyway, that's about it for objects. I encourage you to play around with them, try storing different things, try accessing them in different ways. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.